It's not that it's hard or difficult, it's that it's new. And you just don't have the tools yet to go through it, but you will get the tools. And the only way to get the tools to go through it is
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.
woo! Welcome back to your one-stop shop for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams. Let's get right into it. So, welcome back to the Speaker Vision podcast. And this episode is an interesting one. This episode speaks a bit more to my journey. This episode, you learn a little bit more about your host, Tariq Williams. How did my blindness make me a master of mindset? And so mindset is one of those foundational things for sure. And in my opinion, that helps you grow to wherever it is you want to go to. But what does it mean to master your mindset? What does it mean to move forward through some different trials and tribulations? What does it mean to become blind when you're in high school? So if you all can imagine, I mean, blindness is one of those things that's a little bit unique to some of us. And I know a lot of blind people in the world these days. And so may not be as unique to you all, but come along for the journey and listen a little bit more about me. But if you're interested in hearing a bit more about the science behind my vision loss and all those different things, while you're leaving your 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcast, etc., or while you're hitting the like button, let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in the science, because not everyone is interested in science and biology and et cetera, et cetera. So, because my blindness was a surprise to my family and I. And so it's not necessarily any crazy which way story. Out of nowhere, really, in high school, at the age of 16, I started losing my vision and we had no idea why, right? The ideas that we thought were actually not true. So, what happens is when you're going blind and having some type of significant action or something happening to you during high school, well, let's paint that picture, right? Because you're trying to fit in high school. You want to be quote unquote cool, whatever that means. And when you're 16 in Pennsylvania, it's different in a lot of other states. When you're 16 in Pennsylvania, that's when you're eligible to get your permit. That's when all my friends and everyone is getting their permits and licenses, and they're all getting ready to start driving to school. And if I'm being real, I thought I was going to be as well. So a month or two after I turned 16 and started losing more vision, I had questions because I wasn't necessarily sure what was next for me, what was going to happen. But all I knew was that my vision was being lost. And so when something like that happens to you at the age of 16 and when you're in high school, you start recognizing that, well, one, you don't really know who you are at that age. Whether you think you know everything when you're in high school, okay? You think you know everything, you think you know exactly everything that's going on. But when something you believe you thought you were going to have forever no longer exists for you, you start to realize that maybe life doesn't exactly work the way that you thought that it did. When individuals and your friends and your family, etc., are giving you rides to your basketball practices or your concerts or what have you, you think that those things just happen. You don't recognize that those things take work. Okay. You don't recognize that things that just happen on a daily and the food that's put on your table just have, you think they just happen, right? But there's work that gets put to those. And you start to recognize some different things like that when something like your vision gets taken away from you at that age. You start to recognize, like, something I thought that I was entitled to, like anyone else, is no longer there. But then, not only that, because you're starting to recognize that this is a thing that's happening to you. But oh, wait, you don't know any other blind people. You don't know what this world or what this even means. And you thought you knew everything about the world already, and you're recognizing pretty quickly that everything you thought was a thing is not a thing. Okay. You start to recognize that your life may not be, or life in general, is not exactly what you thought it was or what it's going to be. You start to take a real look at what your life and what life in general truly is, because you start to understand that you don't even really know what actual success looks like for anyone who can see, or for myself personally, for anyone who can't see, because once again, I had never met a blind person before. So what does that even mean? What does success even look like in that situation? And ultimately, what's actually possible, right? Am I, and I started asking myself some real questions, okay? Like asking myself real questions like, the sacrifices that friends and family had done for me, are they now in vain? Okay? Because once again, none of us know what success actually looks like for me at this point. So I'm asking myself real questions. Do I have to leave the different things that I had done in the past, if it's basketball and et cetera, if those things no longer exist for me? Like, what does even school look like for me? I don't know anything. And then you start to come to terms with the fact that you might not know everything. But then when you start coming to terms with the fact that you don't know everything, and this might be a podcast episode for another time, life still continues, okay? So the things and the regular high school things and topics, etc., that were a thing before you started losing your vision, they're still a thing as well, okay? So now your issues in life are compounding, if it's things and at home and with friends and family and different things like that. Those things are all still happening. So when life starts to bring all those different things together, and I've painted this picture, and we've created this picture for you all, okay? Mentally bringing it back to the mindset piece, you really start to understand not to take anything for granted. That was one of the main things that I took away at that age, because you think everything's given to you. You think you're entitled to a lot of different things in the world. And quite frankly, if no one's ever told you this, there's truly nothing that we're actually entitled to, okay? Other than being your authentic self, you're entitled to that because you're worth that, you have that value. But other than that, and I'm willing to have this conversation in the comments, et cetera, wherever, that's really the only thing you're really entitled to in this life, is the ability to just be the person who you are. Because that's something that nobody can actually take away from you. Now, other than that, you just don't want to take even that ability for granted. Not taking anything for granted is so important. And we talked about this on the podcast recently about the gratitude gap. And so ultimately, not taking anything for granted. And so when you learn to not take anything for granted, there's different mindset pieces. You're making different connections with yourself. And so you're learning more about yourself, the importance of learning about self. Okay. We overlook the importance of learning more about yourself as an individual, and the fact that we're changing every single day. We're changing every single day, becoming the person that we want to be. Oh, wait, you're already that person, though. We're learning more about that person because that person already exists within you. And those were things I didn't know at the time. Okay. I was kind of, I don't want to say forced into it, but once again, we didn't know that I was losing my vision at the time. So I was put in a place where I had the opportunity to learn more about myself in some of these different situations, and actually enjoy the process of learning more about me. Because When you start losing your vision, losing something that you thought you were entitled to when you weren't expecting it, once again, you start to think, well, as you're learning more about yourself, part of that journey, I was like, but I can't do what everyone else is doing. Once again, I can't drive like everyone else is driving right now and hanging out with friends and everything like that and not being able to go places because I couldn't drive there, right? So I can't play basketball. That's taken away from me. I can't read the same way I used to anymore because I can't read the words on the paper. I can't, you know, you start to think that you can't do anything. And once again, that's because I didn't know any other blind people. I didn't know what I knew now. But from a mindset perspective, when you're going through that journey in your head, you start having all of these beliefs that the life you thought you were supposed to have no longer exists. And so, what do you do in that situation? You challenge those beliefs. When I thought I wasn't going to play basketball, I still went out for the basketball team and made the team. And the coach went out of his way and said, Tariq, you're on this team because you deserve to be here, not because I feel bad for you, anything like that. And I'm not painting this picture here for you all to feel bad for me. What I am doing here is I want you all to understand a little bit more about me as an individual. And once again, that nothing has to hold you back in life. And so I went out, still made the basketball team. And then I did some new things. I thought I was going to join the football team, and well, that ended up not being my thing. But I joined the marching band and loved it and was upset that I never joined the marching band before that and did debate team. And gosh, the list goes on. Like I joined so many other clubs because I wanted to be more active because as soon as I started learning more about myself as an individual, I was like, oh, okay. So the world is telling me that I can't do that? Oh, hold up, world. Here I come. So when it's talking about my mindset and everything like that, it truly I got to a place where I learned so much more about myself and I learned so much more about my abilities as a person. Gosh, I truly believe there was nothing that I could not do. And so, just being real, when you start getting to a place in your life where you start thinking that there's nothing that you can't do, it's a pretty powerful moment, I must say. But once again, when that happens, limiting beliefs, and as you're challenging those limiting beliefs, and it doesn't exactly go the way that you wanted it to go, you start second guessing yourself, okay? Because as different issues start to compound themselves again, once again, I always say this all the time. Everybody's going through something. I say this all the time, but I recognize recently that it's incomplete. And you know what we do here? We don't do incomplete here. So what are we not going to do? We're not going to start now. It's not just one thing people are going through. There's multiple things you're going through right now. For me and for you. So who am I? Who are you to ignore that, right? Now, it's one thing to ignore it, but it's another thing to address it and move past it. So we're not necessarily going to ignore it. We address and we move forward. And so when things start to compound in our life, I learn to take that problem solving mindset with me on a daily basis because no one's life is perfect. To the celebrities and famous people that we see on a daily basis. And I give different stories about different celebrities all the time. I'm not going to do that today. But no matter who it is, okay, there's something going on with them, with their lives that they have to find a way to get through to make their mindset in a better place. We recognize it, we address it, we move past it. So ultimately, when I think about the recognize your vision formula and program and how I became a master of mindset, blindness is truly actually only one piece of it. I recognize that that might be unique to a lot of different people. And for a lot of my listeners, might not be unique to you all as well. It really just depends. But this is the way that life is. Okay. So when I was, when I've been developing my mindset to be the person I wanted to be, even though blindness was a big part of assisting me in this journey and moving forward and creating my mindset, what I recognized the most out of anything is that it was always within me. It was never not here. And for you, it was never not there. It's not there. It's not there now. You like that English major swag? Yeah, it's not there now. You think you don't have the answer, but yet you do. Maybe you just need someone to bring that out of you. Maybe you just need a conversation with a friend or a family member. Maybe you need a mindset problem solving coach. Either way, it's there. And so when I talk about how blindness made me a master of mindset, I truly believe that what I had, how this existed, how I had it in there within me the whole time. I'm getting passionate about this, everyone. I'm getting passionate about this because I recognize that it's not necessarily about finding my passion. It's about putting passion into it. And I put passion into everything that I do. And so this is a topic I really care about. Obviously, it's a bit about my story and I'm opening up to you all a little bit. But I'm reflecting and I don't want to belittle the fact that you all are going through things as well and you're going through your own mindset journey. And so even though this podcast is a bit more about me today, I can't help but to think about you all as the audience because that is why I do what I do. There's someone out there that needs to hear this story, someone out there that needs to hear this journey. And so as you're going through your own, hopefully it empowers you to be the person that you want to be. Oh, wait, you're already that person. Recognize the person that you are. I recognize my mindset. I recognize my journey, blindness being a part of that journey, but not the only piece of it. Um, Being blind has definitely been interesting. Um, but you know what? It's no longer that interesting in the fact that being blind was new and now it's no longer. And so when something in your life is hard and it's difficult, recognize that it's not that it's hard or that it's difficult, and that it's that it's new. Recognize that when something in your life is hard or that it's difficult, recognize that it's not that it's hard or difficult, it's that it's new. And you just don't have the tools yet to go through it, but you will get the tools. And the only way to get the tools to go through it is by being you, going through that adversity, becoming resilient, and being the person you already are. So, once again, be you, be true to you, because you're entitled to that no matter what obstacle, no matter what adversity you're going through, if it's blindness or anything else. We are visionofhope.com for coaching, consulting, and let's work together. You be you every single day, and there's nothing you can't do. Vision.
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.